Seedance's chaotic world of glitches. Okay, we are stepping right into the bizarre, totally unpredictable landscape of AI video generation today to look at a very specific snapshot of digital chaos. Because, as you probably already know, the generative world we're about to explore definitely does not play by our standard rules of logic. Turned into a paper cutout no. No. I mean, just imagine generating a highly advanced visual scene, and right in the middle of it, the reality of the output just utterly collapses into this two-dimensional panic. This isn't some scripted horror movie, right? This is the raw, unfiltered output of an AI model completely losing its grip on the parameters of its own reality. And this cold, hard glitch, it's the exact doorway we are walking through for this explainer today. Okay, let's dive into this core premise. We are examining a really fascinating experiment here. Basically, we're looking at an attempt to take the absolute best, most advanced video outputs from Seedance version 2.5 and painstakingly recreate them using the older and, well, evidently much less stable, Seedance version 2.0. By forcing an older model to process the complex prompts that were meant for a newer generation, we essentially stress test the AI to its breaking point. And what we get is this chaotic collision of inputs and outputs that completely breaks down the very fabric of the generated narrative. To truly understand how this generative breakdown happens, we kind of need to treat these outputs like a digital crime scene. So let's shift our perspective for a second and look at this as an official incident report. We're going to analyze a sequence of totally disjointed environments that the older Seedance model spit out when pushed to its limits. Because by looking at these jarring transitions, we can learn exactly where the model's contextual understanding just completely shatters. So here is our first piece of evidence in this incident report. Quote, heat, headshot first stop right down home. It reads exactly like a frantic, fragmented broadcast from a war zone or maybe an intense video game match. That repetition of heat is a classic hallmark of an AI model getting stuck in a predictive loop. It's scrambling to figure out what comes next and defaulting to these aggressive, rapid-fire action words. It's chaotic, it's intense, and it sets a very specific high adrenaline context. But then, literally in the blink of an eye, the model throws us completely off a cliff into an entirely different world. Quote, 2 minutes chef fire on the seal for me in the right here. Wait, what? We just went from a virtual battlefield directly to the sweaty, frantic line of a high-end commercial kitchen? The AI completely lost the thread of the prompt. It was wildly grabbing at any intense, high-stress scenario it had in its training data, and then just slapped them together without any logical bridge whatsoever. And just when you think you've got a handle on the kitchen chaos, the dialogue fractures again. This time it pivots into something strangely personal and absurdly emotional. Hey, we made it. I really didn't think we would. Mom keeps taking. And it just cuts off right there. The AI pivots from shouting about chefs to this bizarre, incomplete family drama. Grasping these massive, sudden shifts in context is absolutely crucial for anyone trying to understand the limits of generative AI. It shows us that when the model's logical pathways break down, it doesn't just stop. It rapidly cycles through these fragmented human experiences, desperately trying to find a pattern that fits. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the AI's output actually starts to build its own meta-narrative out of the errors. We've mapped it out here as a formal progression of, well, incidents. Instead of just failing quietly, the model begins generating a story about things going wrong. It scales up from strange occurrences in the morning to characters literally glitching out of reality by 10 a.m., leading to an absolute meltdown behind the scenes by 11:30. Let's look a bit closer at how this actually manifests. Get this, the AI literally generated a news broadcast about its own failure. It states, since early this morning, multiple abnormal incidents have been reported across different parts of the world. The model is pulling from tropes of disaster movies or breaking news to somehow explain away the chaotic, nonsensical outputs it was generating just moments before. It's absolutely fascinating how the lines of reality blur here. The AI uses the language of a global crisis to mask a software glitch. Which brings us back to the highlight of this global crisis: the paper cutout anomaly. This is where the model's rendering capabilities just completely throw their hands up in defeat. Instead of rendering a 3D character or, fixing the scene, the AI forces the subject to turn into a two-dimensional paper cutout, accompanied by that frantic stream of no. It's a moment of absolute comedic absurdity. The model can't process the spatial dimensions required by the prompt, so it just flattens the reality entirely and panics.
But here is where the narrative arc takes a massive, hard pivot. My prompt, hello, is it fixed yet? This isn't a generated character talking anymore. This is the fourth wall completely shattering. The creator's frantic real-world prompts, desperately trying to troubleshoot the failing Seedance 2.0 model, have actually bled directly into the AI's final output. The machine is literally repeating the creator's panic back to them. The output then outlines this incredibly stressful behind-the-scenes meta-narrative. A video is about to play at an event. A quote-unquote small, unexpected issue has occurred, which, by the way, is a hilarious understatement for turning people into paper cutouts, and someone is begging for just a few more minutes to fix it right away. We are seeing the live, panicked scrambling of a creator trying to wrangle an older AI model right before a deadline, and the AI is just absorbing that panic and making it part of the show.
So the crucial point is how the AI ultimately decides to resolve this escalating nightmare, and it does so with the greatest, most absurd deus ex machina imaginable. Quote, it appears that some higher dimensional entity is now repairing all of the anomalous phenomenon that occurred today. That is the grand punchline right there. The AI can't mathematically fix the glitches, so it generates a sci-fi excuse. A literal higher power is coming down to clean up the chaotic mess of Seedance 2.0. It is a brilliant, completely unhinged way to try and tie up a broken narrative.
But, of course, does the higher dimensional entity actually fix anything? Well, the final output suggests otherwise. Heat, hurry, he sent it, come on, enemy. Yep, despite the grand claims of anomalous repairs, the AI instantly plunges right back into the frantic, fragmented combat loop. The unresolved chaos is still there, stuttering away in the background. It just proves that no amount of generated sci-fi excuses can actually fix a fundamentally overwhelmed context window.
And I think that brilliantly illustrates the wild frontier we are exploring with these tools. We've seen how forcing complex ideas into older frameworks creates this beautiful, hilarious chaos. Which leaves us with one final thought. As AI leaps from 2.0 to 2.5 and inevitably beyond, what bizarre, higher dimensional glitches await us in the next update? Are the models going to get perfectly smooth? Or will the hallucinations just get vastly more complex? Definitely keep that in mind the next time you hit generate. Thanks for joining me on this explainer today, and as always, keep questioning the reality of the screen in front of you.